Sahana bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Is sound a problem, Varsha?
It is for me. I was wondering if it's just me or
Okay,
anybody else.
let me go see what I can do. Varsha, is it better now?
Yes, it is. It was breaking earlier. This is good.
Okay. All right, then you're good to go in that case. All right, so does anybody have a question? I see there's nothing on the chat, so one assumes there isn't one. We have been studying about how our desires become our emotions and how this all leads us to the ladder of fall. Now, from there we went on to, okay, so what do I do? What do I do about it? We can get ourselves into any amount of trouble because our emotions that have stemmed from the desires block out any sound of the intellect, as it were. It's like completely gone from our perception. You know, each one of us has an internal mechanism that tells us what we can do, what we can't do. We have that thing going on as sort of internal guide, as it were. And we refer to that. I mean, what we do is based on whatever that internal guide says that we should do. But that compass within us, which says, okay, this is fine and this is not fine, gets magnetized, as it were, goes wrong, as it were, because of this great, what should I say, the great influx of emotion, feelings, that strong thing. It sort of takes away that inner guide. And then it seems okay to do things. You know, it seems perfectly all right. It seems perfectly all right to murder somebody. It seems perfectly all right to shout at somebody. It seems perfectly all right to be unfair to somebody. It seems perfectly all right to sacrifice my future for my present. It seems perfectly all right to overspend on that credit card. Don't we know? We know, right? Each one of us knows. There's no problem as far as knowing goes. But that internal mechanism has quit working because of the strong desire. See, in a relationship also, you know what you need to do to make this thing work, but with that strong emotion says, no, I won't do this. That internal mechanism is going wrong. So what do you do? How do you stop it from going wrong? Why is it that power corrupts? You have so much power, you can do so much good, and actually you use it for detriment of yourself, detriment for others. Why? Why are you doing this? That internal mechanism is going wrong. So what do? What is your kavacha? What is your armor against it? Your armor against it is that you. You? Tell me, somebody, what is your armor against it?
You try to control your desires.
No, you can't.
Intellect.
Our intellect, using our intellect.
Yes, but it's gone. It's going. How do you prevent it from going? That whole tumultuous power of this power means that whole tumultuous backdrop of emotion is grabbing you and is that internal mechanism of what is right and what is wrong starts going away from us. So what do I do? How do I protect myself from my own foolishness?
Slow down a bit.
Holding a higher desire.
Very good, excellent. Except that you don't call it a desire, Shankar Prasad. It is having it as your ideal, as your goal, as your single pointed dedication.
Okay.
Anybody who doesn't have that single pointed dedication on that ideal, it's just a question of time or a question of circumstance before they are going to crash. You may say, no, I know somebody who's 70 and they haven't crashed yet. Even I do. In fact, it was one of the tragedies of my life that I watched this happen. There was a person, a lawyer. He was very, tall and handsome, great personality, and looked up by everybody. Everybody appreciated him, and he was like, he was very dignified and very, what shall I say? He was everything. He was everything that you think a good man should be. And then something happened. Okay, this man is now 70 years old. He's lived a really good life. He's done everything very well. He's 70. Something terrible happened. He had two sons. I mean, it was perfect family sort of. He had two sons, both doctors. Everything was just the way, an Indian believes this is the right life. Everything was like that. And he found out something very, very unfortunate about one of his sons. Now, I don't want to tell you too many details because then it sort of, I don't want everybody to guess who this person is. Okay, at 70, he found out something extremely unfortunate about his son, and basically how his son has wrecked his life, his own life, and his family's life. Okay, and this man simply collapsed. Simply collapsed. He was always very dignified, so his collapse was also not noticed in the sense that he was a quiet person, right? So he continued to be quiet and became more and more quiet, and then he was just in a sort of vegetative state, like no reaction to anything. And it was tragic to see this man who was considered a great intellect, very smart, everything was perfect. And the way, from 70 onwards, from the time he heard that news, the way he crashed was very, very heart-rending. The fact is that just living a good life is not enough. That dedication to that higher ideal is critical in people's lives. If it is not there, if you don't know what is the one thing you are dedicated to, it's a question of time or circumstance before the emotions will become so much that we won't be able to control it. We hope things will not happen like that, but the fact is life is the way it is. How can we say that? Oh, sound is still fading. How can we say that, hey, I've done everything that I know how to do, so I hope it's okay now? Excuse me. We don't know what life is going to be in the future. We just don't know. And no matter how much we try to predict it, we can't. That's a fact. That's a real fact. Some people collapse not because things went wrong. Some people collapse because things are going right. Like, people who are extremely successful, they go mad as well. It's not like only people who fail go mad. It's those who go successful, they also go mad. All sorts of mad things are going on. We are saying they're going on out there, but we must understand that they are going to go on here very soon. It's only a question of time. Let that circumstance come to us and we will be doing exactly the same thing. Because these are laws pertaining to human life and we are as much susceptible to them as any other person. How many people, when things go right, mess up their lives? It's not about going wrong. Don't think that, Vedanta is so pessimistic. They're thinking that there's going to be some problem in the future. Yes, there is possibly a problem in the future, but that problem is not necessarily because things are going wrong. It could be very much because they are going right. There are people who get lots of money and wreck themselves. There are people who get lots of power and wreck themselves. There are people who get fame and wreck themselves. And tragically, we read about it in the papers. It's, morning papers, which I am always against reading, actually are very philosophical, if you see it that way. But you don't need to read the papers to get philosophical. Vedanta Treatise is good enough. Early morning reading papers is madness. First thing in the morning, newspaper. First thing in the morning when your mind is freshest. Like, what a waste. A human being, you could have used that time so much to do so much productive work. No, let us see all the mistakes everybody has made and revel. Horrible thing. Not that I'm against newspapers or anything, but the concept that in the morning, first thing, newspaper. That's strange way, strange choice to make of that wonderful time. So, how do we protect ourselves for falling for that? Is staying with higher values, staying with a higher ideal, staying with a goal, which is something beyond me. As long as I can hold in my heart a goal which is beyond me, it is going to be my security blanket. Now, the problem people have with this is they say, okay, I'll have a big goal for myself. Then who will look after me? I'm going to look after all these people. Who's going to look after me? This is a real problem. It is not something that we can laugh away. It is true that when you do look after people, it is possible quite frequently also that you will be taken for granted, that you will not be appreciated, that you will have to put in a lot of sacrifice, and people will never appreciate the sacrifice that you have put in. In fact, I can tell you when I started teaching Vedanta, and I was so completely filled with this thing that, if there's one solution to this world and all the problems, any problem that a human being has, the one answer is Vedanta. So I was so certain, okay, so we have to, so I would take classes as I have done for the last 30 years, take classes. Okay. And then people would come to that class. Okay, no concern. How am I supposed to live if I am taking classes and I am not charging anybody? No concern. Okay, fine, that's acceptable. You have to put in sacrifices for your cause. All right, chalo, karenge. Okay, but how do I get to the class? I have to still get there, right? I have to pay the bus fellow some money to get to the class. No, they wouldn't do that too. So very often I had to walk so that I could reach that place. And then, okay, I do all this. And then people would behave that when they came to the class, like they are doing me a favor. They are coming to the class. Oh, we come to your class. Like, I don't understand you. Are you doing me a favor? This happens. This is life. Until you start correcting what you are doing. When people seem to not understand that it's you who are giving them something, and they genuinely think that they are giving you something. They think they're doing you a great favor by coming to the class because you want to teach, and they are okay. They'll present themselves so that you can say whatever you want. It's a strange, strange feeling, and you all will go through it when you have done something for somebody, and you have always and they genuinely think that they have done something for you. This happens, but you have to understand that and decide what you want to do about it. But be assured of one thing. Okay, be assured of one thing. From the scriptures, from logic, and even from personal experience, that you will never be left untended. If you have done what you should be doing, you will not be left untended. It's never a good idea to give personal examples, but in this case, you must be able to see that I'm still alive. My father told me when I decided to undertake this thing, he got so angry that, he thought I was a very intelligent person and that I could have done very well in life. And whatever. My family looked upon me as, somebody was going to do something in life. And then I decided to do this. So they were like infuriated. They were really mad at me. And my father, who hardly ever raised his voice on me, I mean, he was not the type who ticked off anybody, I think. But when I told him, I'm going to work for Vedanta, he said, okay, who's paying you? I said, nobody's paying me. So he said, and so how do you think you're going to survive? I really didn't know how was he going to survive if there was no income from any source. And so I couldn't say anything because I didn't know the answer to that question. And he got so angry at that point. I think it's the time in my life I remember my father being the angriest. And he said to me, you're going to die in the gutter. He got so angry. Like, he was absolutely livid. Now the fact is, I've done this for 30 odd years. I'm still alive. Hello, I'm still alive. And I seem to be doing okay. So by personal experience, no matter how much people might, whatever they might do, please be assured that should you need something, that thing will come and stand at your door. Be assured about this. It is impossible that you have lived to the best of your ability, as well as and you are not taken care of. It is not possible. So when you work for a higher cause and you do find that you're really not getting any result that you think you should have got, be assured things are still going to work. Don't give up. Don't say, no, it's terrible. I mean, I see even now in the all those who've taken up karma yoga and all that, they come back and they tell me their experiences, and they're very philosophical to hear the experiences of people who are working so hard for the cause and what happens to them. And you should talk to them and listen to how people talk to them. Sometimes they behave like, these people are doing volunteer work and people behave with them like they're some kind of, I don't know what, servants or something, like go give them instructions to do things like, what's wrong with you? So but be assured, I have given you examples in the past about our team and things that have happened to, I mean, through these 30 years, many things have happened. There was a time where actually my life was in danger because I was so sick. But the fact is, I'm still alive. So whatever little good that we do in this world, whatever little right action we do in this world, will take care of. That's what Christ says to us. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. Whatever your needs are, they will be taken care of. Different people have different needs and they will be taken care of in different ways. Different people will have different wants, different vasanas, different desires. Don't worry about it. They'll be taken care of. Seek and it shall be given to you. Seek means seek the higher. And the it which will be given to you is that which you need. You will be taken care of no matter what. Think of Mahatma Gandhi. He was a barrister with the highest education of that time. To be educated in the Inns of Court, to be, there were just 4 colleges in the world that, which all 4, of course, in UK, where you could become a barrister. And becoming a barrister was a big thing, a really big thing. Today, people don't understand what being a barrister is, but please remember that most of the leaders of our independence movement were barristers, and they've had the best education. Now imagine Gandhi with this best education of that time saying, I'm not going to be a lawyer, I am going to work for independence. That's what he said. What would his family have said? They would have said, have you gone mad? What do you think we made you a barrister for? He did it, and we are talking about him today. They would have asked him, how are you going to earn money? It is his picture which is on all our money. Please understand that. Understand the power of a higher ideal. There is nothing that our world requires more than that each of us have some higher ideal. It will protect us from the vagaries of our own mind, and it will benefit the world. This is a win-win situation. Everybody is going to benefit out of it. That is what is called Ram Raj. When our leaders have that, it will be Ram Raj. When our people have that, we will get such leaders. So let us focus on being able to fix for ourselves some higher ideal. It could be anything, whatever inspires you, but keep it and keep it as the goal. Work for it. You will be taken care of, and you will take care of the world. Isn't that a great life to live? Isn't that a proper human life? Why would we not do this? So he says, the unrelenting law is that you will get what you deserve. So if you work for a higher ideal in life, if you focus your energies there, your personal desires, your personal needs will all be taken care of. Did Gandhi have to worry where is his next meal coming from? Did Mother Teresa have to worry how am I going to feed these thousands of people? It came. I mean, so many of you have told me of some things that you all are doing. It will come. Be rest assured, it will come. Not immediately, not without pain, not without struggle, but it will come. So that's where so I hope you followed the line of thought. The line of thought is this. You don't know you're the self, so you feel empty, so you have a desire. These desires metamorphose into strong emotions. These strong emotions wreck our lives. So what is the solution? The moment a thought comes, you must find out whether this thought is suitable to you. If it is suitable to you, keep the thought. If not, let it go there and then. Now, how do you know whether it's suitable to you? Because you have a higher ideal in life. Is this thought preventing your movement to the higher ideal? Then chuck it out there and then. And if it is suitable towards the movement to your higher ideal, go for it. Then if you question, okay, all this higher ideal, looking after other people, serving community, serving the nation, serving humanity, what happens to me? What happens to my survival? Who looks after me? Christ's answer, the Upanishad's answer, and every religion's answer to this has been, you will be taken care of. Through logic, you should be able to understand this. Through tradition, you should be able to understand this. And through illustrations, examples, you should be able to understand this. There is nothing that denies this great truth of life. Okay, so this is the flow of thought. Now we are going to go into a very beautiful poem, which we are going to now study, which demonstrates this idea. Because our mind is not willing to give it up. So it needs to be inspired. So we are going to do that poem. Okay, so here are some questions from Alka. Is self-realization a selfless desire? Yes, Alka. Alka, which Alka is this, please? Because now there are so many Alkas. So who is this? Okay. Have we
I'm
met?
new to your class, Janki ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Okay, Alka, yes, a self-realization is a selfless desire. It is the only selfless desire. There's no other selfless desire.
Thank you.
You're not asking, but I'll tell you anyway. Why is it considered a selfless desire? Because what is a selfish desire? When you do something for your body or your mind or your intellect, this becomes a selfish desire. You're doing it for your body, mind, intellect, to the exclusion, obviously, of others. So I'm doing it just for my body, mind, intellect. It becomes a selfish desire. What is an unselfish desire? That I do for your body, mind, or intellect, for other people's body, mind, or intellect. So that becomes an unselfish desire. And what is a selfless desire? That means I am not doing it for any body, mind, intellect, not mine, not yours. So if I'm not doing it for myself and I'm not doing it for others, then for what cause am I doing it? I'm doing it for something which is beyond the body, mind, and intellect, which is known by the bhaktas as God, which is known by the jnanis as the reality or the truth, the transcendental reality. So when I do something for self-realization, that means finding that I am something beyond the body, mind, and intellect, finding my original identity, not having anything to do with the body, mind, and intellect. That is why it becomes selfless. The others, which are for the other desires, which are for the welfare of others, is only a unselfish desire. Is that okay, Alka?
Yes, thank you so much.
Rajesh Shastri says, I think it takes a lot of courage to stand for a higher cause when we tend to be consensus driven. How do we build the courage along with the intellect, or do they go hand in hand? Rajesh, it is a matter of knowledge, really. Uh, you know, uh, how shall I put it? Think of it as you know for certain that hydrogen plus oxygen make water. So you pass electricity through them and maybe nothing has happened. When nothing happens, you don't doubt the law. You say, okay, now what have I done? What have I not done? Okay, my electric, I didn't pass that properly, or maybe I'm not doing oxygen, hydrogen. Let me check, is it, okay, because you know for certain this is the law. Okay, so building an intellect literally only means you know for certain the cause and effect relationship. You will never get carried away because you know for certain it is so. And how do you know it is for certain it is so? You have applied yourself to figure out, is this so or not? So that application which we are doing to figure out, is it so or not? That is the development of the intellect. You know that it is so. And even if you don't get the result, you don't care because you know it is so. So you're going to figure out now which factor have I missed? You don't doubt the law. You know that it is so. So once you know it's so, then it's not courage. Other people will tell you it's courage, but you know it is. Is that clear?
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Do selfless desires lead to self-purification? Once I let the question start, it's all free for all, na? Okay, so do selfless desires lead to self-purification? Firstly, there's no such thing as selfless desires. There is only one selfless desire, and that is the desire for self-realization. So, do selfless desires lead to self-purification? Well, selfless desire, when executed properly, leads to self-realization because the desire only for self-realization. Self-purification is I am improving. Self-realization is I've perfected myself.
Selfless action can lead to selfless action can lead to self, like they say, na, highest is self purification to realize the higher self. What is?
Self-purification is a stepping stone. You
Okay.
clean yourself to perfect yourself. Okay, the desire for perfection. Realization is perfection. The desire for perfection is the only selfless desire.
Thank you,
If
Ganga.
you have it, you will reach self-realization. Why are you worried about self-purification? That's only a stepping stone. Okay. Manoj Yadav. It is difficult to accept you are not doing it for all of us when it's so much being done for us. We need to put more effort to understand selfless desires, and it seems tough for now. Of course, Manoj, you're studying philosophy. If it doesn't seem tough, it means you're not understanding anything. Okay, so if it's appearing tough, that's a good thing. So it's difficult to accept you are not doing it for all of us when it's so much being done for us. Well, never mind why I'm doing it. I could be doing it selfishly, selflessly, or selfishly, unselfishly, or selflessly. The only person who will get the result of this kind of behavior of mine is me. So it doesn't matter to you why I'm doing it. But the fact remains that to become, to enable your selflessness to be maintained, you have to be unselfish. Otherwise, you will not maintain selflessness. So, we studied in the Gita. You come to the Gita class, right? So you remember he said, Yagna, Dan, and Tapas purify the wise. So if you want self-realization, then you will have to be unselfish. Means, in other words, you have to do karma, right? You have to serve. And that's how you are able to maintain the thought for self-realization. If you don't serve, the thought of self-realization will come and go. It will fade out before you know what happened to it. One day you'll say, yes, yes, I want self-realization. And next day, it's gone because life, remember, we are all midstream. None of us are starting life. We are midstream. The river is going and we are in that river. And whilst we are in that river, we have to maintain. So to the extent you are unselfish, you will maintain. If you allow selfishness to creep in, there is a hole in the boat. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Henry. Dear Henry, there's a hole in the bucket. So if you don't fix it, ain't no collecting water. So that's why the whole spiritual sadhana contains jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, and karma yoga. Those are the technical ways of putting it. What is karma yoga? It is just working unselfishly. Unselfishly.
Janki ji.
Yes, Sanjay. 1 second, Sanjay. Manoj, is that okay?
Yeah, ma'am. So, like the thing which we hear that having set the highest goal as a perfection, we should keep striving on our journey.
We should keep being unselfish.
Keep being unselfish and strive toward that highest goal we have set for ourselves.
And we should know, there is no should about it. It's not like this is something we should be doing. It is, if you want that result, this is the cause. In Vedanta, no shoulds. Nobody is telling anybody that strive for self-realization. All it's saying is, if you do X, Y will happen. If you live a selfish life, you will get into delusion and you will crash. While you're doing this, you will be highly agitated. This is the result of a selfish life. If you want this result, please have a selfish life. Because this is a cause and effect relationship. If you lead an unselfish life, you will have a pleasant journey. And when you come to a point where the circumstances are more difficult than your ideal, you will crash. This is what will happen if you live an unselfish life. If you have a selfless goal, you will have a pleasant journey. Your entire potential will come to the forefront, and you will manage to maintain your head all the way up to realization. This is what will happen if you do one of these things. You can debate whether these things are true. That's your job. You debate. Not debate with me, you debate with yourself. Okay, figure out whether this is true. And having figured out whether this is true, decide what you want to do. Why
Thank you.
should anyone tell us whether we should be selfish or unselfish or selfless? That as a human being, I have a right to decide what I want to do with my life. But as a human being, you have a duty to figure out cause and effect relationships before you decide what you want to do. That's your duty. Your right is, it's your choice. Your duty is, please be educated before you make a choice.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much.
Okay, Shilpa. Yes, Sanjay, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Janki ji, I'm sorry I couldn't type it out. My question was, my internal mechanism is leading me astray. So my first step is I have to, so to say, put the brakes on it, right? To put the brakes, I use my intellect and invoke. In a previous class you talked about pratipaksh bhavna. So I invoke that to look at it from a different perspective, and then that is an interim step to moving to a higher goal or ideal.
I don't think so. If you can execute what you just said, it would be fine. But 9 out of 10 people can't do it. My internal mechanism at the moment is telling me that when I murder somebody, that's a correct thing for me to do. Where is the question of Pratipaksha Bhavana? Where is the question of putting the brakes? I actually think it's the right thing to do. Because I think it's the right thing to do, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So that is not our safety net. Our safety net,
right,
really in such a condition, is always satsang. Satsang is company of the good. Because if you already know, before you've arrived at some ridiculous conclusion like that, you already know people, books, or whatever, that is satsang for you. Satsang for different people can be different things. But if you already know what is your satsang, it could be a person, it could be a book, it could be whatever it is for you. It could be a visit to a temple or a church or a mosque, whatever is satsang for you.
Okay.
That satsang sort of resets that internal mechanism. Because now you've created an external situation of reset. Because the internal situation is already messed up. And the internal guide is no longer functioning. So you need now an external thing. So maintaining satsang, in Bhaj Govindam we are about to come to it. The first step of the ladder of growth is satsang. In our case, because we are following Jnana Yoga, it is always education. The better educated we are on the subject, the better we handle things.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now, okay, so everyone has followed the line of thought. We are the self, we don't know it, we feel emptied. So our thoughts go out to the world to get some stuff, and that's where all our problems start. And then we get into these massive emotions out of it. And one other part of this journey, which we don't even speak about most often, is all the dishonesty, which is also added in the middle. So nobody knows whether they're coming or they're going. They don't know what they want. They don't know where they're going. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing. It is like we live in this darkness, like just dark, blind, completely blind. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know why you're doing it. You don't know what you hope to get out of doing it. Nothing is known. Just blindly doing something. And occasionally we can see some spark somewhere. And occasionally we follow that spark. And most of the time we are more involved in seeing something smooth than something pretty. It's like we're in darkness, and in that darkness you happen to touch something that is smooth and pretty, and you say, oh, how nice this is, how nice it is. And you spend 2 years saying how nice this is. And that spark is there, which you should have been following. And you wasted these 2 years saying how pretty this thing is. But there is nothing in the darkness, pretty or not pretty. How does it even matter? And sometimes that prettiness turns out to be a soft. You were saying, so nice, turned out to be a snake, and it bit you because you didn't know what it was in that darkness. This is madness going on. How can we live like this? It's frightening when you think of it. Like we're in some dark cave, and instead of seeing that light, that little light I can see, which is the mouth of the cave, and running towards it, I entertain myself in this darkness by something feeling nice, sounding nice. And these things that feel nice and sound nice sometimes just turn back and bite us. It was all done in the dark. It's all done in ignorance. So this only complicates and confuses the already complicated situation. So the poor intellect, battered as it is by life's journey, no longer knows what to do or how to behave. Just totally battered. So before we come to that stage, let us protect ourselves by having the concept of the higher with us always. And how do you take the first step? As Sanjay drew our attention to it, how do you take the very first step? First step is always stay in the company of the good, for heaven's sake. If you know good people, be with them. Don't go out and be with people who have negative things. That's why reading the newspaper, not satsang. Reading the Bhagavad Gita, definitely satsang. Between choosing Bhagavad Gita for morning and newspaper for morning, like, why would you choose the newspaper? And when I say Bhagavad Gita, I don't mean only Gita. You would choose the Quran or the Bible or the Dhammapada or the Gathas, whichever religion you belong to, it doesn't matter. So, of course, I would recommend Vedanta Treatise because this book we can understand. Sometimes when you read the religious texts, you don't understand what it's saying. And people are reading the religious texts and creating even more confusion. Ab kya kare? So, better read something which is in a language we understand. So, and your reflection that goes with it, obviously. The more you think about it, the more you understand it, life just changes. It's just like you brought light in. The room can stay as it is. You bring light in, you won't bump into things. That's all it takes. Just switch the light on. That's all knowledge is. Just switch the light on. You're walking in the room, you're bumping into things because it's dark. Switch the light on. You won't bump into anything. Things won't hurt you. Just switch the light on, which you will do if you do your morning studies. Okay, so to protect ourselves, you have a higher idea. When you have a higher idea, initially you will find difficulties. You will find people taking you for granted, people actually, we set up this whole interview which is happening this evening with Shashi Tharoor. And the reason Deepa set it up is because she was interested in the whole world and many, many more people getting to know this beautiful subject which we have. So she sets it up. And people actually troll us for it. They say, oh, you couldn't find anybody else? Like, even if a person is doing something good, you still think something bad? Like, what kind of mind is this that thinks so? It's a strange thing. Anybody who comes to the gates of God is welcome, right? So how can you tell somebody, oh, you are coming to God? How can you even say that? How negative is the mind that thinks like this? And not to speak of the fact that you know nothing about the poor gentleman. You know nothing about him, and still so many opinions. Based on what? Something you read in a newspaper. Anything is sub judice, then you don't talk about it. That is the basis of culture, of character, of everything. So, interesting how people look upon things. Now, when you start doing something for the higher and people troll you, people say bad things about you, people do all this stuff, let it be. Let it be. Because you will be taken care of no matter what. Keep your intellect going, don't do stupid things, that's obvious. Okay, because if you didn't keep your intellect going, that only means that you're not doing all that you need to do. Keep your intellect going, work for the higher, and you will be taken care of. You don't know how you'll be taken care of. You don't know what miracle will take place to take care of you. You don't know that one day you'll be on the verge of death, but you're going to be saved. Okay. Don't worry about it. Seek the higher, and it will all be added on to you. Okay, so who will read the next paragraph?
I'll read, Janki ji.
Please do, Brinda.
Okay. text. Should I read from my book?
Yes. Omkar, are you putting the text? Is Omkar here? Who is the host for this class?
Omkar.
Omkar, where are you, Omkar? We are all searching for the Omkar.
No, it's not this one. S. Bearing Gold drives home this message.
Go behind. Behind. You've come forward. Behind. Further back. Yes.
S. Bearing Gold drives home this message in his beautiful poem, The Olive Tree. Two hermits planted saplings to grow olives. They needed olive oil for their prayer. One of them took charge of the plant, prayed to God for rain, for sunshine, and for frost. God granted them all. Yet his plant eventually perished, while the other hermit left the plant to God's care, asked for nothing. It grew well and yielded abundant olives. I'll continue.
Yes, please.
So it is with life. Everything in this vast universe works meticulously by some mysterious power. The human intellect cannot conceive it. How the infinite beings and things orchestrate into the melody of existence. One ought not to disturb this harmony by one's personal egocentric preferences. If you choose to assert your ego, then that unknown power seems to hand over the reins of control to you. You then lose its grace. Whereas you surrender your ego to that unknown scheme of nature, you would receive its sovereignty. Allow me to continue with the poem, please.
Wait, summarize this. Don't get all excited, Brinda.
Okay.
Summarize this. 2 paras.
Yes, the basic idea is that we put aside our ego and hand over the reins of nature to God or to nature. We put ourselves aside and let things take their natural course.
Okay, I hope you understand what that means, because these kind of words lead themselves to endless misrepresentation, misunderstanding. So while what you're saying is true, we have to understand it in the perspective of the last paragraph, which is you should do what you ought to do.
Yes.
Okay, so please don't forget that all this is being said is that you get what you deserve, not what you desire. So how do you deserve anything? By doing the right action. What impedes you from doing right action is your ego and egocentric desires. So please follow the line of thought. Otherwise people say, oh, we're supposed to leave everything to God.
No, no.
पे हाथ ऊपर बैठकर बैठ जा, रखकर बैठ जा. That's not what it's talking about. What it's talking about is we all go on saying, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. This is called asking, craving, begging, desiring. What we should be doing is focusing our attention. Can anyone tell me what should we be doing?
Focusing our attention on the action itself.
Very good. But what action also tell us?
What has to be done?
Action.
Yes.
What ought to be done?
Yes. On
Self
putting
action
in
in
the
line with their goal.
effort.
Selfless action.
Putting in the effort to figure out in this situation what is the right action. Okay, don't get carried away. So, there's some background noise going on. Somebody please switch off. Anita Menon. Yes, towards the goal, Anita. Correct. Figuring out what is the right action. That is your greatest and your final responsibility. Just have to figure out what is the action that I am supposed to do. That's it. That's just it. That is the beginning and end of your responsibility. So that's the big thing. Deserve, not desire. And deserving it is through action. Not through hopes and dreams and desires, not through intentions and saying, oh, मैं ये करने वाला हूँ, मैं वो करूँगी, मैं सबसे इतना प्यार करती हूँ. None of that counts. I mean, of course it counts, because all of that may be influencing what action you're going to choose. But the final fact of the matter is, what did you finally do? Did you do or did you not do? Suppose I have all these intentions of saving lots of money and making myself a big corpus so that one day I can live on the returns of my money rather than having to earn money. I have all these fantastic plans, but I have not even saved 5 rupees. So it's not going to do anything. All my great intentions will come to nothing. Suppose I say, that man, he's so bad. I have to murder him. I'm going to murder him and whatever I've done. And I have thought all these wonderful thoughts, but I have never murdered him. Will I go to jail? No result is coming to me. But let me go and do something. Now the result will start coming. So please understand, for results to come, action. You can think the worst thoughts in the world. Nobody can put you in jail. You can think the best thoughts of the world. Nobody will give you a Nobel Peace Prize. Let's see you do something. Put your money where your mouth is, they say. Meaning, go do it. Don't talk too much. You want something and just dead set. A pleading for it with both eyes wet won't bring it. Why? You try sweat, as my uncle used to say. Try sweat, for heaven's sake. People want to lose weight, they want to make money, they want to help the world. Try sweat. There's enough of dining table conversation about how we must do things for the world. Can you go down and help one person first? Try sweat. Oh, we must love the whole world. Can you love the family you're living with? Can't love my mother-in-law, but I'm ready to love the world. Hello, start with her. It's interesting how we substitute action with all these thoughts and intentions and big ideas. We want realization, but we can't look after our body. अब क्या बात करें? पहले तो बॉडी का देखो, फिर रियलाइजेशन के बारे में सोचो. नहीं, बॉडी तो नहीं होती मुझसे, कुछ और बताओ. अरे, basic stuff. You don't know how to brush your teeth and you want to become Miss World. होगा क्या? But start with brushing your teeth so that people can at least come somewhere close to you. Don't brush your teeth, we can't come anywhere close to you. So, we live in some kind of dream and imaginary world about how we will love the whole world. I will be so pure, I will love everybody. I just can't stand my mother-in-law. Won't work, sorry.
Can I ask something?
It irritates me so much. Yeah, go ahead.
But both, right? The good thoughts and follow-up good action, both are necessary. Because otherwise, if the thoughts are not correct, but the action is right, like I don't like my mother-in-law, but I do everything well. So she will, she may give me blessings and she may give me money, but the mind affects this. Like it'll be still a sin because I'm not going to be happy about it.
And she's not going to bless you either.
No,
don't you know all these Indian daughter-in-laws have this fantastic notion in their heart that I did my duty towards my mother-in-law. That mother-in-law can't stand you because you did your duty and you made it clear that you were doing your duty. You think people like people doing their duty towards us?
No. That was just an example to follow up with what. But my thing was that both are necessary, right? It's just not the correct action, but the thought also.
Varsha, you know me long enough to know that I've understood the question. So don't repeat the question. Listen to the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll repeat your question for you so you can rest assured that it is being answered. You may agree or disagree with the answer. That is your prerogative, but it is being answered.
All right.
Your question is that your thoughts are very important also along with doing the right action.
Right.
Which the answer is when your thoughts are not right, your action will not be right. How is it possible?
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm telling you. You're doing something for mother-in-law, but with no correct thoughts, she will not bless you. She will not give you the money. She will get irritated with you and say, my daughter-in-law does nothing. I know a mother-in-law who had 2 daughters-in-law. One who did everything that she was supposed to do. And the other one just spent time with the mother-in-law and chatted with her. And when she wanted the fan, put on the fan for her. Nothing fantastic she ever did. But she loved the second daughter-in-law because the heart was
Genuine.
yeah, whatever she was there was genuine. And then everybody would say that the second daughter-in-law has done so much for the mother-in-law. But actually the fact is that was not really factually correct, because the first one did a lot more in terms of actual work. So it's not, so you don't have to say the thoughts also have to be right, because they're not right. How is the action going to be right? It's not possible. But
Yeah,
if your
thank you.
thoughts are just these wonderful, noble, wonderful thoughts, I have to do this and I have to do that, and hua to kuch nahi, your results will be, people require so very little from us. It's not funny. There's so many marital problems, and I have to talk to so many people so many women who are miserable because their husbands don't treat them well. And what is it that wife is asking from the husband? Can you just spend half an hour in the day with me? And this much he cannot do for her. And all these big, big talks. You can't give half an hour to your wife, undivided half an hour attention, because that's all she really wants from you. That's it. I mean, people ask so little from us, so little, and we are not able to give that. Okay, can't give half an hour. Can you give 10 minutes of undivided attention? Big, all fantastic notions in the head, but no real execution of anything that matters to the person you're dealing with. That's the work of putting in the hard work which is necessary. There seems to be something here. Let me see what is.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om, just a second. Yeah, okay. Are you okay, Varsha?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, okay. Please go ahead.
Hari Om Janki ji, this is Priyanka. Janki ji, I wanted to ask you, if thoughts manifest themselves as action, then when we are thinking something, how do we not act according to that thought?
Because we have other thoughts too. So I have thoughts that I should love the whole world. I also have my own personal desires. Okay, my mother-in-law should give me a diamond. She hasn't given me a diamond, so I cannot love her. So I have other thoughts as well. I want lots of money. I'm very keen on being very rich, but I also have thoughts of laziness. So I'm not doing anything. I don't have just one thought, right? I have many thoughts, and these all come together, and then I do something.
Okay. So therefore, we should encourage the thoughts that we really want to keep, and the direction helps us, the objective helps us. Right. Thank you.
Janki ji, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Janki ji, now that when you're trying to be more aware of your thoughts, you try to really think things, but sometimes because I don't know of the conditioning, you sometimes tend to get judgmental about things, and then it really kind of troubles you a lot because now everything is in the open. How do you deal with a situation like this and not lose hope?
Judgmental about others, or
yeah, like any thought that comes which is not a correct thought. You'll acknowledge it once, okay, fine, it was not correct. But if it kind of repeats itself, it becomes extremely painful. So in spite of trying to do your studies and trying to be objective about things, you probably are not still, I'm not saying achieving is a very big thing, but somewhere, little change, which kind of pains and troubles the person, because now that you're aware, you're thinking like this. So it becomes...
Aditi, you need to focus a little bit more. I need to understand what you're saying. You're saying that you get a thought repeatedly, which is painful.
Which is not correct, suppose. For example, yeah.
Okay, you don't want to hold the thought, and the reason you don't want to hold the thought is because that thought is painful. Let me finish and then you say.
Sorry. The thought is not correct.
It's not correct.
Yes.
And therefore there's pain caused by that thought.
Yes.
Okay. So you have a thought which is not correct. You don't want to hold that thought. For instance, I'm just giving an example. a woman is there and her husband is chatting with some other woman and she is getting jealous on seeing this. Okay, so as she thinks of it, she says, she's just chatting with her. I know there's nothing on, so I should just remove the thought, but I can't remove it. And because I can't remove it, I am getting pained by it. Just give me an example, okay?
Yes.
So what do you do? So you go and investigate. Why is my mind going there? Why am I why am I objecting to this conversation between him and this other person, man or woman or mother or father or whoever it is he's having a conversation to? And I have to find out, is it because I am feeling neglected in the relationship? If that be my reason, then can I get him to stop neglecting me? Is my behavior causing this neglect? It may not be. Okay, so I don't have to blame myself for every big thing everybody is doing. It may be, it may not be. If it is, then correct your own behavior. If you say, no, there's nothing in my behavior that is causing this, but I still am feeling this sense of neglect, then I must figure out what can I do other than this person, other than my husband, who is not interested in talking to me. What can I do so that I don't feel neglected? For instance, I can talk to my friends and family, my sister, my parents, my friends, my whatever. I can share whatever I can't share with this X person with some Y person. I don't mean have an affair. I mean, break down the desire and see how you can fulfill it. If you are in pain for some reason, it is your mind telling you that's something I am telling you're not listening to me. The world may not listen to us, but why can't we listen to ourselves? I have a desire, it's up to me to handle that desire in such a way that my body, mind, intellect is not tortured. If I'm being tortured, I am being irresponsible towards these equipments. So I have to deal with it. I have to figure out where is it coming from and deal with it. Okay?
Yes, Janki. It's pretty tough, but I think that's the only way. It's yeah.
What you're asking for is happiness. Don't forget. So happiness is something that 9 or 10 people don't get. You're asking for a difficult goal. Be willing to put in the difficult work.
Right, and especially when it's very deep conditioned. So that
Forget about the conditioning. That doesn't matter. It's your work that counts.
Yes.
Past everybody has. Forget it. Past is past. What am I doing now is the question.
Yes. Thank you, Janki.
So what is Bharat saying? Announcement for today. Bharat, you're making an announcement?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Hari Om, everyone. Today is the big day. Finally, the culmination of all the effort. But one big push needed still. Please, for all people who would like to register late out of habit, we would be sharing today's flyer on social media, on the group also. So please individually take this effort to share on all your platforms, all your social media. And hope you all have registered for it. And any difficulty, please just contact me on WhatsApp. Thank you.
They don't need to only share on social media. They can call people and tell them also. They have 100 options of how to connect. So connect in whatever way you want. I'm sure they'll come up with many good ideas too. Okay, Bharat, I hope you don't mind me adding to your...
No, please, absolutely. And figure out your own extra ways also, everyone.
Yes, we are all human beings. We all have an intellect and we can all come up with good ideas.